That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Father. What's your...
Hello everyone, good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining. In this video, I'm going to talk about why yoga is a problem for Christians. So if you're someone who is practicing yoga or who is thinking of practicing yoga during this lockdown time, this is a video you should definitely watch. We will try to discuss and jot out the Catholic position on yoga. So I have chosen two videos for this discussion. One is by Father Vincent Lampert. He recently spoke, Matt Fradd interviewed him, and he asked him about yoga. And so Father Vincent Lampert is an exorcist in the United States of America. So let's see what he has to say. And the second video is a video which I did 3 years back. I did a lot of research on yoga, and I put out a video, and there I talk about why the spirituality of yoga, which it derives from Hinduism, is not compatible with the Christian faith. So those are the two videos that we are going to use for our discussion today. So it's going to be an interesting one, so stick around. So I'm going to play Father Vincent Lampert's interview with Matt Fradd, a very short clip, and I would specifically like to share 3 important points on what he is sharing. So here is Matt Fradd asking Father Vincent Lampert the question about yoga. Let's hear him.
And not just your opinion, but I guess your educated opinion as you engage in exorcisms of yoga. I find it difficult to demonize yoga, but I'm open to doing it if you help me do it. It seems to me that if somebody is engaging in certain stretches, that this isn't intrinsically evil at all. I don't know how it could be to use your body to stretch in a certain way.
So that's a very important point which Matt Fradd is making. If you're just stretching your body and you're sitting in certain postures, what you usually do in yoga, how can a stretch or a position be intrinsically evil? So that's the point he's making. So as long as an act is not intrinsically evil, you can't make a blanket statement saying that no matter how you do it, when you do it, it's evil. So that's the point Matt Fradd is trying to make. How can a posture or an exercise can be intrinsically evil? So,
but I also know people who are involved in your line of work to a lesser degree who would say, no, absolutely, it's a gateway drug to the demonic. Cut it out immediately. Don't be pussyfooting around with sin. So tell us your opinion on yoga, if you have one.
I do have an opinion.
Okay.
and I will say this at first. I also think it's not healthy to always see the demonic everywhere, because then we're giving the devil too much credit. I do think that...
Okay, so I would like to stop there. So before we go into any of the discussion, I think it's very important that we understand what Father Vincent Lampert is saying there. It's not a healthy thing to kind of demonize everything that we see in the culture, everything that we see in other religions, and everything that we see outside Christianity, whatever practice or cultural norms that could be. So we should stop demonizing everything. That is an extreme fundamentalist view. But at the same time, we have to take caution. We have to see what the church is saying about it, what principle the church is trying to give, and then analyze whatever we are trying to analyze under that lens. So the CDF, the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, also makes this statement in regards to, it's not very specific to yoga, but in regards to yoga, it's in regards to any kind of posture, it says, the adoption of a particular physical posture, even if originating in a religious or a philosophical system foreign to Christianity, is permissible provided the posture is severable from the religion or philosophy that first motivated it. Its use then becomes possible in Christian freedom. And indeed, the church has baptized even pagan practices that were not intrinsically linked to paganism. So this is a very, very important point.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
That we all have to understand, that we cannot demonize everything. If the church has given, sees that the particular thing is not intrinsically evil, then the church can baptize it, and Christians are welcome to use it. So if that is the case, then what is the problem with yoga? I mean that's the question that you all have. So now listen what Vincent Lampert is talking about yoga. What is the problem behind yoga?
Thing that could be suspect and could say this at first. I also think it's not healthy to always see the demonic everywhere, because then we're giving the devil too much credit.
Yeah.
I do think that yoga could be something that could be suspect and could be an entry point, because the exercises are not the issue. The question would be the spirituality that's tied with it.
I see.
And can the average person make the distinction between the exercises and the spirituality? And maybe the person begins initially just for the exercises.
I think that's probably right.
But then they become intrigued by the spirituality that's with it. That's the subtle way I think the devil sometimes works, is, he makes it look appealing. There's this, the fruit in the garden again. Did God really tell you not to do this? So he can kind of lure us in, and then once we get pulled in, and all of a sudden we see the different layers that go with it. So like with the practice of yoga, we learn that, the different postures and poses are actually forms of worshiping different demons.
So I hear...
Okay, so I would like to stop there. So at this point in time, some of you might be thinking, see, I've been practicing yoga. So what is wrong with, even let's say, of course, we all know that it is derived from Hinduism. So let's say I have a bit of, spirituality that is, kind of connected with yoga. What is the big deal, you might ask? Like, what is the problem if it is, if the spirituality is tied to the physical exercise? So that's where I would like to bring out the video that I did. See, the spirituality of Hinduism is totally not compatible with the Christian faith. So if that is the case, then how can we comfortably do something which is derived from that spirituality? So I make 3 points why the spirituality of yoga, in turn Hinduism, is not compatible with the Christian faith. So these are the 3 points which I make.
So unlike other exercises, yoga has 2 dimensions to it: the physical postures and the spirituality that powers it. I have found it really useful for my understanding to analyze yoga under these 2 lenses: the physical postures and the spirituality. First, let's see through the lens of spirituality. As we all know, yoga flows from Hinduism. So let's hold up their philosophy against the Catholic teaching. First question: what does Hinduism teach about God? Well, it proposes a philosophy of monoism, which states that there is no distinction between God and His creation. Both are one and the same, which is why we see Hindus worship elements of creation like the sun, the trees, and animals. Well, the Catholic Church would disagree and say God is neither part of creation nor one among creation, but the very essence of being itself. Even though all of creation reflect God in some way or the other, they are not one and the same. God is the creator and we are His creation, which is why worship belongs only to God the creator and not the creation. Second question: what does Hinduism teach about the human body? Well, it proposes the philosophy of Gnosticism. Gnosticism states that everything that is material is bad, which includes our body, and only spiritual matters. So it basically says that human beings are spirits trapped in a material body, and our life journey is to free ourselves from this bodily prison. But the Catholic Church would disagree and say the body is good. Human beings are body-soul union. The Catechism of the Catholic Church says the unity of body and soul is so profound that one has to consider the soul to be the form of the body. So our body is good. Very, very good. Third question: what does Hinduism teach about prayer? Well, it says prayer is all about freeing of one's energy, quietening of the mind, and focusing on the self to attain enlightenment. So it basically says prayer is all about you. But the Catholic Church would vehemently disagree and say that prayer is raising of one's mind and heart to God and the way we commune with Him, and it's definitely not just about you. So in conclusion, can a Catholic practice yoga for meditation or for spiritual exercise? The answer is a resounding no, because the spirituality of yoga is not compatible with the Catholic faith and runs contrary to the first commandment.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
So just like to so that's the video that I did 3 years back. So there I clearly bring out the point why the spirituality of yoga is not compatible with the Christian faith. So if you have been a little lethargic in terms of this, in terms of discerning this, the things, spiritual things that are attached to the physical exercise, I think now is a good time to think about those things and discern if those are, you should be doing those things. So the next thing that I would like to continue with the discussion of what Father Vincent is saying. So anybody who has any confusion regarding the spirituality, please, now you can be clear that the spirituality of yoga is not compatible with the Christian faith. That's the point that I wanted to try conveying through that video. So here Manfred is actually making a very good point. So let's listen to what he's saying.
Demons.
So I hear that and it makes me troubled, but at the same time I think, who the hell are the demons to think they have any kind of monopoly on how I hold my body?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just because certain people intended to worship the demons through a certain pose, surely that doesn't mean I'm no longer able to make a certain posture just because it happened to be the way these people worship demons.
But you might be indifferent, is that you're really grounded in your faith.
Okay.
But how many people are really grounded in their faith? I think there's a lot of people today. I think even the former Archbishop in Philadelphia, Archbishop Charles Chaput, made the comment that there's a lot of people today that wear the label of being a Christian, but they do not know the person of Jesus Christ. Maybe they're just going through the motions of their faith. They show up at church on Sunday and, it's kind of like punching a time clock, and then they leave. So I think there's a big difference between somebody who's well grounded in their faith and somebody that's just going through the motions of their faith.
Yeah.
I've even had, I had a fellow priest tell me one time that, he was kind of bored with Catholicism. He was going to explore Buddhism.
Oh.
It's like, so to me, that's an example of,
you're not on a good path here.
Yeah, you're not in a good path. And then when it comes to yoga and things like that, to me, if you're not on a good path, that's probably not the place to be.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I don't think we can underestimate how weak we really are. And when you start congregating with people who hold certain New Age ideas, maybe we're kidding ourselves to think, well, I can do this a few times a week and I'm not going to be kind of swept up in the spiritual. It makes sense.
I would like to stop here and make a very important observation. So what Father Vincent is saying is, like, you could say that it is only physical exercise, so it's fine. But then how do we know it's only physical exercise? Very recently I was speaking to one of my friends and he was practicing yoga for a long time, not for a long time, for the past 1 year. And he told me that he says the chant Om. Like, as he is, doing these exercises, he's chanting the word Om. So then I asked him, what do you mean that you're chanting Om? I mean, what does it mean? Do you know what it means? So he went back, asked his teacher, and the teacher said it is it's just part of the exercise, you just do it. And then I told him, that, raises a serious concern. How can you do something without knowing what you're doing? What if it is something that is, to worship the other gods, Hindu gods? So then what happens? So then anyway, after that he stopped using the word and he told his teacher, I just want to do the exercise, I don't want to chant anything. So you see what I'm getting at, right? Like, sometimes we might underestimate what is unintentionally given to us as part of the exercise. And the most important question is, are we in a good spiritual state, and do we have the good Christian formation to discern what is okay and what is not okay? Like, especially when it brings in a spirituality along with it. So I think we have to be very, very careful when we say, okay, we are just doing it as a physical exercise. I mean, for people who say that point, right, I'm just using it as a physical exercise, then why are you calling it yoga? Why are you going to a yoga teacher to do physical exercise? Why can't you do so many other exercises which are an alternative to yoga, isn't it? If your intention is just to do physical exercise. I mean, I feel, as Catholics, we have to take care of both body and soul, and it's very important that we take care of the body. So I go play basketball, I go for swimming, I go for cycling, I do stretches. So why can't we do that? Why should we get stuck to yoga? And the second question is, which yoga teacher is teaching yoga without its spirituality? I mean, the spirituality is so connected with the physical exercise, right? And then you ask any yoga teacher, that's what they will tell you. So the first question is, if it's just physical exercise, why call it yoga? Second question is, where is the yoga teacher who is teaching yoga without the spirituality? And I mean, I would just say, if you are not in a good spiritual state and you right now you are not in a place to discern what is good, what is okay, what is not okay, I definitely would advise caution on practicing yoga. And you have to discern day by day. And as Matt Fradd says, we kind of think, oh, I know everything, I might not fall into it, but you'll never know, especially when you're doing something which you are not fully aware and we don't know what the teacher is saying. He's just saying, okay, this physical exercise, this is the posture, this is how you should breathe, this is what you should chant. Okay, in this, how do I know what is Christian, what is contrary to the Christian faith? I mean, it's like a very gray area, right? I mean, I've never done any physical postures of yoga, so I mean, probably someone who is practicing and still feels it's all okay can put a comment, and then we can discuss that too. So the last point of what Matt Fradd is saying, I think, is very important.
And when you start congregating with people who hold certain New Age ideas, maybe we're kidding ourselves to think, well, I can do this a few times a week and I'm not going to be kind of swept up in the spiritual aspect of this activity.
I think we get caught up in deception. We haven't alluded to this. And
some of us can also feel that, okay, I feel perfectly peaceful doing it. I'm just doing it for the physical exercise. But the thing is, how do we know? You're just going by your feeling, right? Probably like this friend of mine didn't even know that Om was not supposed to be said. And he was feeling peaceful about it, doing the exercise for a long time. So okay, anyway, I might see, the church has not made an explicit statement that you can't do yoga, because as it says, if it can be baptized and it is taught by a Christian teacher, then probably, it's fine. But today, I don't see any yoga teacher who is not teaching yoga without its spirituality. So that's why I think we should take caution. And so Liza Thomas, I just like to put this comment here, and she asks, what if I used to practice yoga, Surya Namaskar, and I stopped it? Is it okay? Do I have to do something about it? So yeah, I mean, since I don't know what Surya Namaskar is, like if Surya Namaskar is the worship of the sun, and if the posture is kind of adhering to that particular worship, then I think it's important. I mean, that's a definite no-no, right? Because we do not worship creation. We only worship the creator. So yeah, I mean, the whole concept of Surya Namaskar is that you are submitting yourself to the sun, which they worship. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a personal call, and anyone who has good info on the specific postures, you can also put that in the comment section. And once I accumulate enough comments, then we can have a renewed discussion on it. So everyone who's watching this video, who's been practicing yoga, I don't want to trouble you or trouble you, but I think you should discern and take caution and see if it is worth it. Are you in a good spiritual state? Do you have the Christian formation to discern what is okay and what is not okay? Anyway, so thank you for listening to me. So looking forward to tomorrow. I have a very interesting topic in mind, and I also put up a video yesterday about forgiveness, Bishop Barron's video, and how that video changed my life. So if you're interested, take a look at it. God bless you.